Who are you? Do you like who you are? If not, who do you want to be? And how do you get there? I'm not preaching to you. These are the questions that I asked myself at the start of 2024. As we all do, new year, new me, right? Even though I never really made a vision board or wrote anything out, I always had it up here that I wanted this year to be different. I wanted to reinvent myself. And when I was saying that, I didn't really know what it meant. I didn't really know what I was saying. I just knew that something had to change. And no, it didn't mean that my life sucked or that I was sad or I was, depressed or upset about anything in particular. But I think it's just the optimizer in me, the overachiever in me. I just felt like I could and should be doing more. I just wanted more for myself. I was like, this life isn't exciting enough. I don't know if anyone else feels that way. I want to be more. I wanted more for myself. And I thought, does that mean I don't like myself? No, but I don't think that I am who I should be just yet. At least that's what I thought. January 1st, 2024, where everyone else was out drinking and partying and going, Happy New Year. I was like, yet another year. So let's talk about it. How do you reinvent yourself? For me, it started with one question. Well, all 4 questions I've just mentioned, but also at the core of it, I was like, what would it look like for me as a new person, as the best version of myself, as the newly optimized Anjy 2.0? My name's Anjy, by the way, in case you're wondering what I'm saying. How would that look like? And in my head, I'm like, she's happier on a day-to-day. And I'm not talking, I know a lot of people say that, they want to be happy. I'm not talking about like, like just smiling every second of the day. No, but at baseline, I want my baseline level of emotions to be a little bit higher. And that's when I decided somewhere along the line. It wasn't at the start of the year, by the way. This was probably end of February or mid-February, to be specific, when I decided to create this channel. And I was going to call it the Positive Thinking Experiment because I wanted to experiment with thinking more positively. I was listening to a lot of podcasts about positive psychology and just how you can just uplift your the really woo-woo people say chakra, uplift your spirit and just get yourself to a more elevated level of positive emotions that is sustainable. So I started this podcast to kind of document my journey and research more into how you can be happier and how you can achieve more, do more, be more. And that was the purpose of this podcast. And the first step for me was to be happier. And that has just translated into being more productive, into going after what I wanted more, into getting up earlier, into not staying up too late, into not drinking that much, into not, saying no to things I don't want to do, into just being a better person. It's crazy. You think that far into it, that just being happier can, help you achieve all these things. But something happened that also made me rethink again. I went, oh shit, I think I need to reinvent myself. And what is that, you might ask? Well, someone said to me, she's like, Anjy, are you ever sad? And I was like, I couldn't really believe my ears. I had to really think about it. I was like, did she just ask what I think she just asked me? Like, are you ever sad? Of course. How have I over-calibrated and over-reinvented myself so much so that I don't even look human anymore? I'm not even being perceived as human anymore, as someone with emotions that are not positive. Because this same person has said to me before, which I took as a big compliment, she's like, I've just been happier since I've been around you in general, because my spirit is so high and I'm always smiling. And a bunch of people said that to me, before. But in that moment, I was like, I think I'm doing something wrong. Because it's like what they say. I don't know if other languages say this, but in Nigeria, they say, if your hand's like this, then you can't receive anything. No one's going to give you money, for instance, or anything good if your hand's closed like this, because they think you're fine and you don't need it. But when you open your hands like this, there's this space for someone to pour into it, right? So in that moment, I'm sure you're thinking, what the hell is she talking about? But in that moment, I went, how have I over-positivized? It's not a word. How have I made myself overly positive that I don't even look like someone that could ever get sad? Does that make sense? Of course I get sad. I'm just not showing it. On the days that I am, I'm talking myself out of it. I am perhaps just not even showing it maybe. And it makes me think, like, when I do need help, it might shock people. Like, they might never even think of me as someone that needs any sort of assistance or emotional support. Even when I reach out for it, they might think, oh, she's fine, she'll be all right. I think I've done something wrong. If someone's asking me that question, are you ever sad? Because you should just assume, right, that everyone has ups and downs and ups and downs. So I went, oh dear Anjy, I think we have more work to do. We need to reinvent ourselves again. I need to reinvent myself again. I need to reinvent myself and look more human. I mean, like, even when I spoke to my sister and her boyfriend quite recently, and she was talking about a bunch of things and blah, blah, blah. She's like, I'm not like you. You're more this, you're more that. And I went, yeah, but I also have moments when I'm sad. How come no one notices? No one around me realizes that. And I just had another flashback to a point where my sister and I had an argument. This was probably a year ago now, and my brother called because my sister has called him to complain to him, or tell on me rather. And he called me. It was like, my sister's name is Kenny. He was like, you know how Kenny is. She's quite emotional. Just allow it. And I was like, how about me? I was like, how about me? Just because I'm not crying doesn't mean I'm not hurt. Just because I'm not crying doesn't mean I'm not in pain. Just because I'm not crying doesn't mean, like, I don't have emotions. Does that make sense? And all these thoughts and whatever just came flooding back. I was like, oh my God, Anjy, you're doing it all wrong. You're making a big mistake out here. Because again, what if I do break down one day and I need someone's help? They would probably think I've just like gone crazy, because no, not Anjy. Anjy's never sad, right? So I'm sure you might think I'm rambling, or maybe you do relate to this. But the point I'm trying to say is I'm just trying to be more human. That is my new reinvention strategy. How do I become a version of me that is positive, yes, and ambitious and achieves and just very hyper, and hyper is not the right word, but someone that goes after our goals and is successful, but also is human. Like, even my sister sometimes, she's like, how do you like get up and just do everything? When I went on holiday in Budapest with my friends, they were like, how do you just get up in the morning? Like, how do you just roll out of bed? I've starting to think I'm starting to look like I'm some kind of superhuman when I'm not. Like, I'm just as human as you are. I go through hard times too. I just don't show it. And perhaps that's my own issue, where maybe I'm conflicting vulnerability for weakness. But let's not make this a therapy session. Let's make this about how or when you can choose, or you should choose, to reinvent yourself. It's when shit like this happens, when you feel like perhaps this isn't who you want or set out to be. This isn't the version of you that you want to, put out to the world. This isn't me. It goes back to what I said at the beginning. Who are you? Do you like who you are? And if not, who do you want to be, and how do you get there? And I just had to wind it back. I was like, okay, who am I? I'm someone who is being perceived as perhaps not fully human. Am I an alien? No, I'm not an alien. I know I'm not an alien, but perhaps I'm someone that isn't the most vulnerable. Perhaps I'm someone that doesn't really show emotions. Perhaps I'm someone that looks on the outside, or is being perceived on the outside as someone who has their shit together all the time. I mean, for the most part. And I don't even want to say for the most part, because that's not even true. Are there times when I've been sad and I've just gone to take a glass of wine and watched YouTube or Netflix just to make myself feel better? Yes. But would I be the same person that'll be like, girl, dump him now. Dump him now. It's not worth it. You deserve better than that. Yes. But they're both me. They're both a part of me. And I should be able to show both parts. Like, I shouldn't be one without the other, because they're both who I am. I'm just as much boy bye as I am. I can't believe you said that. I'm both. That dichotomy, I don't think I'm letting it show enough. I think I'm being portrayed as too one-sided. And yeah, I'm sure you relate to this. Are you someone that, it doesn't even have to be vulnerability. Are you someone that's always portraying yourself as one thing when you know it's not really who you are? And maybe you haven't realized it until I'm just saying it now. Maybe it's something you've never thought about, but you don't want to be that person that when you do need help, there's no one around you, because they just assume that you're good. Or even if you're someone that, I don't know, is always crying, is always sad, perhaps no one wants to be around you. I think it goes both ways, right? Have you thought to yourself why everyone's always canceling when you make plans, or no one is around whenever you want to hang out? Maybe you should think about that. Maybe you're always just telling bad news or complaining to them and whining. It's things that you should think about. So how do you reinvent yourself after you realize what it is that you want or who it is you want to be? Well, I have to say, first of all, it's not going to be like this, poof, because it's not magic, right? But the best part is you've already decided now that you want to be reinvented. You want to be a new you, new year, new you, new month, new you, new week, new you, whatever. The best part is you decided. Now it's the question of how do I get there? For me, it's how do I start to be more vulnerable? Oh, even saying it scares me because I'm like, look at my facial expression. I'm like, yes, it's squirmish. I'm like, oh, I don't want to. I'm just, what does the thought of being vulnerable scare me? I'm fine with other people doing it, and perhaps that's not entirely true. Perhaps I don't like to listen to people whine all the time. Maybe that's why I don't do it. Don't like to listen to people complain all the time. Maybe that's why I don't do it. But I think if I can give grace to other people, I should assume that they will also give grace to me. So for me, that looks like maybe just sharing more negative emotions that I go through. Maybe just sharing that with others so to see that I actually do have a hard time once in a while and it's fine. Because my sister, what is it that she said to me, came to me and I was just completely went off my head. And yeah, we're talking, I've got it. I was talking about how on social media now, being depressed is overly glamorized. And she's like, no, we should allow people to talk about it so it's not stigmatized and all of that, yada, yada, yada. And I was like, yeah, I'm all for being more open about your emotions. But for me, it's just like a bit icky when it gets to the point where you're like showing off and, oh, look at all my pills. Hot girls have ADHD. Hot girls have depression and take, I forgot what the depression medicine is. There's people that make it sound like it's cool now when no, it's not. It's not cool. It's not cool to be depressed. It's not cool to have a psychological disorder or a mental disorder. We should not stigmatize it, yes. But we shouldn't glamorize it, make it sound like, yeah, it's fine. No. The point of being diagnosed with something shouldn't be that you just sit in it and live with it. You should strive to be better, to get yourself out of it. And maybe, I don't know if this is a toxic trait that's coming out of me where I'm like, why can't I just allow people to be depressed? Why can't I just allow people to be sad or have ADHD or whatever, be anxious? Maybe it's my toxic trait where I'm like, get yourself out of it. Work on yourself. I know at some point that would get toxic, but I don't know. That's just me, because I'm pretty sure if I went to a doctor somewhere and said, oh, this is everything I go through, I'm pretty sure I'll get some sort of diagnosis. I'm pretty sure they'll tell me, oh, maybe something in your childhood, or maybe something. Do I feel like I'm affected by something in my childhood? Yes. Well, am I going to sit in it and let it dictate the rest of my life or every action that I take? No, I'm not going to dwell in that. No, fuck that. Pardon my French. But I'm not that person. I want to be vulnerable, but I don't want to feel that I can't be in charge of my life and my emotions. But on the other hand, maybe I can be softer. Maybe I can be sweeter and kinder and more vulnerable and show my more, quote unquote weaker side and not be strong all the time and happy all the time. And yeah, let me be sad sometimes. And I've never cried in front of anyone other than my own family, other than my sister and probably my brother. Yeah, that is crazy. Now that I think about it, I don't think any of my friends have seen me cry. I mean, my exes, maybe one of the two have seen me cry. No, actually, both of them have seen me cry. Interesting. But not my friends. Interesting, right? I'm sure some psychologist who watches this will know exactly what's wrong with me. And again, I can get diagnosed as anything, but would I accept it and take it as who I am? No. I decide who I am. Me. I decide who I am. I invent myself. I am who I say that I am. And that's what I want to put across today. And hopefully I haven't come across like an idiot on the internet that's just rambling about bullshit or like a toxic person. I'm not talking about toxic positivity at all. I mean, I've literally just said be vulnerable once in a while and allow yourself to be sad. But I think part of reinventing yourself is just deciding that you don't want to be the old person anymore. Like, who is it that you are? What's the gap between who you are and who you want to be? And how do you get there? Figure that out by yourself. Can't help you with everything. All right. My name is Anjy. Thank you guys so much for listening and watching on YouTube. And I hope you check out all of my other videos. I have a playlist on the positive thinking experiment that I just mentioned earlier. Check it out. Bye-bye.